Hello guys, once again we will talk about ClashFronts, and there is like 5 major topics I want to discuss today. We still haven't had anyone solve the deployment. We have the new fatigue system with streaks. A big problem with guilds being able to ally themselves with other guilds within the mode and knocking out the guys that is weaker, or getting an alliance going for the sake of knocking down someone else. And then I also want to talk about guild leaders allowing the tool to manage the guild within the game itself. And the last point I have is actually a big suggestion on how they can improve this game mode and make it more fair to everyone. And I think the current format doesn't work in the long run. So let's start with the deployment issues. We still only have like 12 hours to deploy. So many guild members. We actually had to talk with a couple of guild members today for that simple reason. Because they were busy. It's Sunday. They were busy doing other stuff and different time zones, and this problem is just gonna keep on happening unless they increase that timer. Like, they changed so much else. They changed like the fatigue system and so on. Why couldn't they change this timer? That couldn't be so hard for them to hotfix since the last round or game. And then we go to the next part where we have the description. It's very long. And sometimes it's not very clear what they mean by stuff. Like when you're talking with other people about a game, for example, people need to know that a game is 4 rounds of, and that's like a match. And this is just 1 round, so people have to have that into consideration as well. And then we have formats. So it looks like my format here actually won a bit. Yeah. And what team was this? It was the Mauler team. I really don't understand this part of the game now. Because for some reason they have decided that fatigue resets at the preparation stage at the start of each new game. And as we just learned in down here, game consists of 4 rounds. So that means that the whales and everyone who is really powerful, or if you create a lineup that is very good or a formation that's really good, it will just become weaker and weaker the entire duration of this game. So during these rounds, that fatigue will just accumulate and lower the stats of my heroes. So basically you have so much things that goes into this, it's like insane. Let's say here, if this guild is less contested than we are, or we are up against weaker enemies, like here, if we were up against weaker enemies, this one would build up. Let's imagine they took this one without any problems. They could then probably go in this, doing very little fights. Go in here and do very little fights as well. Oh, actually, no one can contest them over here. So they only need to send in like 1 unit here. Maybe they will send everything into here and fight that. And then it depends on where we go here. It's a lot of RNG based. And they don't stack up fatigue at the same rate as we do, because our tiles is more contested than theirs. They will have more stats on their heroes when we finally have to fight them. So they might be stronger in the beginning as well, but if they have more whales, they will have other whales with less fatigue as well. So it's just insane. It's like if you dominate in the beginning, you can grab some free tiles, and that tile people won't get fatigue. And the fatigue will just keep on building. So you become weaker and weaker the more you fight and the more you dominate. And else doesn't have to fight as much as you, they will be stronger than you, most likely beat you. And that means also, the better you are at strategizing and making good lineups, you can be punished by that. It doesn't even have to be a whale that's getting. Be someone that strategizes really well and find out what the meta is and find lineups that counter them. So then their counters against the meta lineups will become weaker. They will probably not be able to defeat the teams that they're meant to counter anyways. I don't like this fatigue sticking around for the entire game or entire 4 rounds. So that was the second topic. The third topic I want to go into is, of course, guilds being able to form alliances. That's probably going to be a huge problem, because we kind of know, I think it's this guild, perhaps? I mean, somehow, yeah, we go in here, we can see here, we have 3 guilds that is actually from our server. So, most likely, some of these guilds have, like, friendship or, like, some competitive nature where they talk to each other at least. And we could go in against Valhalla and just team against them and knocking them down, or we could see who else on the server is really powerful and team with them and trying to knock out the weaker ones, secure our spot to get more rewards and being promoted to legendary. I think that's a big weakness in the code, that people can form alliances. And I only think the only way around this is basically making everyone anonymous till the round is over. And you have to be able to fight guilds out of your district. Because even if you make them anonymous, we still have these lovely things, like we have the district chat, so we're still districts. And people were, or the guild was still anonymous, people can just go in here like, hey, how is your looking, like, add me on Discord or whatever, and we can talk there. And we can just show each other the setups and be like, oh, we're probably in the same match, and we can make an alliance as well. That's a huge problem. And we still have the ClashFront. This chat, like, this chat shouldn't be between all the guilds. To be a guild only chat, so we can easily talk strategy about ClashFronts ourselves. Let me jump into my next topic, which is guild leaders have no proper tools so they can organize the guild and all the events that's going on with the guild. So right now we have both ClashFronts and battle drills going on at the same time, and the only proper way guild right now within the game without a third-party program like Discord, like most competitive guilds probably use Discord or something like that to organize all this and all the strategies. But the only way in-game to communicate for guild leaders is by mail. And organizing both ClashFront and battle drills through spamming mails, oh my, it's so bad. They need proper ways to manage it. My biggest suggestion to guild problem and all the stuff around it is make ClashFronts chat guild only. Make another chat that's for battle drills only as well. And let the guild leaders control those chats and what's going in them. And maybe, just like Discord, let the guild leader in chat up here, where all the members can go in and check the current information the guild leader wants to promote. Like this one over here. You could pin it like this, but for ClashFront, and another chat that's for battle drills. Remember, not everyone is using Discord and so on, and want to try and organize within the game itself. And if you want to bring out advanced modes like this, and some of you might say this is not too advanced, well, maybe then you're a bit of a competitive player, or you played games like this before where you have a higher understanding of the game itself. But for most casual players, game modes like this can be very complex and confusing. So, giving tools to guild leaders and chats like this where they can organize and help their guild members understand the mode and the strategy they're going for will improve the mode overall and what we think about it. Because right now, it's not very fun. Okay? There's like no proper tool until the fight is over either for the guild leader to see who haven't deployed. They only need to like count how many units is out or how many teams it's deployed themselves here and then figure out how many people haven't deployed. They can't see who have deployed or who hasn't, as far as I know. And that's a huge problem as well. So I think this game mode, ClashFronts, and guild leaders management tools need a big overhaul. And there needs to be some ways for the guild leader to be able to communicate to people, even in things like or game modes like this, where people might only have a stressful day. They maybe only have like 10 minutes, maybe not even that, 5 minutes, and then they just deploy for the sake of deploying. Because remember, it's board based depending on your participation, and we also have dash calls where you get rewarded for participating. And of course you don't want to miss rewards like this, season tokens, where you can, oh, it just tells you where you can go. Here we go into the season, where you can get copies that improves your account. Well, so that just makes it kind of strange, where it's better to deploy even if you deploy in a bad way or in a way that doesn't help the guild. And right now, I think the only tool the guild leaders have is putting down suggestions on how many people should deploy in each square. But that comes to my final point as well, where I have made some suggestions on how they can improve the guild or the mode overall. And you can mock me all you want for my paint skills, but here we go. So here is actually my suggestion on how you can improve ClashFronts. And I think the second suggestion is a bit better, but just let me start with saying I don't think it should be 4 guilds in this mode, because people will always find a way to cheat or create alliances to defeat the weaker ones or try to knock out someone powered. So my suggestion is simple. Make it guild versus guild. Not complicated. And if you come up against a friendly guild or someone you are like having an alliance with, or we're running 2 guilds on one server, that's not very uncommon. We have like, for example, Analytica Discord who runs like 8 guilds on server 1 or I can't remember how many there are. But there's a lot of guilds there. And if they want to be like, hey, we will just deploy here, like here or here, and you can grab everything else, so you guys get promoted and you get certain rewards because that's how a guild system is built up, that's fine. But if we go back to game, if this were to happen where like 2 like guilds that already have an alliance or is like sister guilds or so on, they can already just make an alliance against whoever else is in here. And I think that's a really bad system to have in place. So I think to improve the game mode overall, it should move to a guild versus guild and nothing more. And then it should basically be whoever wins here gets promoted to the next tier. And then maybe, depending on how many points one of these guilds get, the defeated guilds get, they can either stay in the same tier or get demoted if they are in like the lower part of defeated guilds. I think that would be a huge improvement. Maybe that I wasn't very clear with that, but basically imagine like bottom, depending on what tier it is, maybe bottom 20% get demoted depending on what tier it is. Remember, we have different tiers. Like, I think that would solve a lot of problems with alliances and so on, and I think it will be more enjoyable for players overall, even guilds. So this is the first map suggestion I have. Way you get out and you establish your front line. Maybe this one isn't that great when I think about it, because there's no instant fighting. So that's why I made a second suggestions where there is 3 different options to attack on one or deployment one. Like you can go south, in the middle, or to the north. And depending on how you win and how you establish this, there's so many different strategies you could go. You could go like all in on the middle and then establish yourself on the outside. Go on the both the outside. I should have changed the size of the pencil. But I think this suggestion will be amazing and a good way to improve the game overall. But that might just be me. I don't know. Because I think this is a way more fair system. And I think this way it will be more strategy, anticipate more hopefully. And of course they need to increase that deployment time. You can't just have 12 hours. We already know people live in different time zones, people work. People have different chores and activities they need to get done before they play in a mobile game. Let's be real. I think this would be huge improvement to the game several times. But I think something like this would be really amazing. And maybe you could do someone else. Well, maybe you could split it out like this, and there's a square here that you can take as well. Or a square from down here out. Like, there's endless potential. Like, it would be nice to see something else than a big system like this where people can create alliances and win that way. So this is one of the longer videos I've done in a while, where I just go through an entire game mode and places like this, or actually the guild part of the game at all. And we need more management and all that stuff. But if you have any ideas on how to improve, give that down in the comments. What are your thoughts about my suggestions, and are your guild experiencing the same issues as the 3 guilds I am in, where people don't have the time to deploy, and also where other guilds or your guild even is forming alliances to beat the other guilds just to get higher rewards? Please let me know. But as always, thanks for watching, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.